What I especially love about this conference is everybody here is not just excited about success in business, but success with other people, success together. And I see you guys get more excited about hearing the things that people are launching, the things that are going well for others, and that sense of community. There's something especially exciting when someone comes along beside you and they buy into your idea and your dream. And usually the first people that do that are either friends or family. And the way that family can help you is through motivating you and working together with you. But as Kelsey explained, sometimes they can teach you lessons of what not to do. Nearly 80% of businesses are family owned. Amazingly, only 70% of those last to the second generation. Of those, only 10% are remaining to the third generation, and only 3% remain for a fourth generation. So what is it that I see or that we've learned about what can help a business, a family business, save the dynamic of that relationship or the business itself, preserve relationships and not create awkward situations or ruined relationship? And I've narrowed it down today to talk about two things, and that's the vision and the structure of your family business. My wife and I, we have 3 kids under 4 years old. Our daughter just turned 4, and so 2 of them are at the talking phase, so we are inundated with questions. It's just like a question phase. And one of the most common questions anytime we're in the car, are we there yet? And I thought that was just something you see in TV shows and movies. Like, that's a real concern is, are we there yet? Are we there yet? They either don't believe you or they don't trust the answer. They just forgot that you just answered it, but are we there yet? And working with family businesses, I found that children in family businesses, they still have that question. They stop asking it at a certain point, but it's a common question that we all have for our parents or in a family business. Are we there yet? It is the duty of the leader of the family business to cast that vision, to say, are we there yet? They can cast that vision first through explaining the vision. Where are we going? What does it look like on the way? What is it going to look like when we get there? What's it going to require for us to get there? What are the sacrifices? What are the positive things we're going to learn? Share that. You have to cast that. They're asking, are we there yet? The vision has to be shared. You have to recognize that your spouse is your partner, the kids are partners. A lot of entrepreneurs we work with, we do a lot of matchmaking, people looking for funding or startups, and a common reason a lot of people want private investors or to avoid a traditional bank or something like that is because if they raise money in a certain way, they can avoid the accountability or the hassle that comes with a board. I can do my own thing. And the truth is, even if it's just your family's money or you don't have a board, you have a board in that family. 3 years ago, actually this week, my wife and I, we sold a house that we'd worked on for 8 years. My wife poured herself into it, really just did a beautiful job. And we sold it so that we could take the proceeds of that and start the firm. And she was completely behind me in doing that. In the process of growing the firm, I've learned a couple things. You have to continue to keep your board, if you will, informed. Not just the good things and the successes, but the challenges. They deserve that. They need to know that. Keep that in mind, that you have a duty to them to share that. You have to individually define that vision. You have to define it for your family as a whole, where we're going, but then individually for your spouse, for your kids that are involved. If you have extended family that's involved, understand their vision. Understand what it is about them that brings them interest in the business at that stage. And from that comes an appreciation that they may have a different vision for where they want to go than you in that business. And that's healthy, and that's good. We've worked with a lot of businesses to where the patriarch will say, you know, I know that you're not making anything from this, but it's because we're going to hand it all over to you. And that's not definite enough. Be specific. Lay out the details for that. It was the spring of 2005. I found out that I'd been accepted to law school, and I was living in Springfield and worked really, really hard to get into law school, and so it was exciting, but it was bittersweet too. At the time, I was working with our family business, and in the bio that explained I had been for several years. My dad had started a business from our family garage. We grew it. And you go through those challenges and pains together. And so it would require me to move from Springfield to Tulsa. And so one of my first calls was to my dad to tell him I'd been accepted. And his first reaction was, what do we need to do to make that happen? It wasn't, how much longer are you going to be here? What are we going to do with your job responsibilities? And he understood and appreciated my individual vision. And because of that, I was able to go to law school. I was able to work with people that were in his situation and similar, and I'm able to stand here now. And so it's that individual vision is important. My dad was kind enough to be here today, and he's back there, wave, in the very back. So. The family business structure is especially durable, and some of the most successful businesses that you see are family businesses, and that's because you have benefits that others don't. You know, you're able to talk about business constantly. You're able to understand the intricacies of it. Sometimes you grew up, and here's a legal nugget for you. Child labor laws largely don't apply to family members. So if you're making anything, keep that in mind. But kids grow up in the business, and so they understand that. And that's an asset. But it could also be one of the biggest liabilities. A common phrase, and this is a great phrase, or it can be a phrase that leads to the downfall of your business, and that is, we do it this way because that's the way it was always done. Define what thing specifically you've always done that way, and you should always do that way, and then understand that everything else will change, should change, will evolve. Some of the most incredible family businesses in U.S. history fell apart because there wasn't a good understanding of these are the principles that kept us, that helped us grow, that made us stand out. They compromised on things that should have never changed, or they just locked everything down. So define what those things are. They may be just a few things, but be wary of the statement, we do it this way because it's always been done, and instead clearly define what those are. The structure of the business. So the family business can succeed because of the vision and the structure. Define what that structure is. Talk to the kids about what the succession plan is. Let them in on that. The value of that is they get to expand their thinking and their leadership earlier than when you're gone. I see a lot of families, they blame the second generation because it didn't take off. And the truth is, it's kind of like taking a child who's been riding this tricycle for years and all of a sudden say, good news, we got you this motorcycle. Twist it there and you're good. Let them get some practice and use the structure to do that. Now, business with the family you choose, business with friends. That can also be ripe for wild success. I'll admit, as attorneys, we oftentimes overestimate the amount of legal work, legalese, documents that need to go into putting a partnership together. A lot of friends and partners, though, underestimate the amount of documentation. And legal work, good legal work, quality documentation, really just comes down to communication. The bad thing about a detailed legal document is it can lull people into thinking, we can't get hurt, it can't go bad because we've got this complex document, when really that contract kept you from just communicating. So what kind of questions should you ask? I'll go through these. If you shoot me an email at kirk@918legal.com, I'll send you a detailed list of this. Questions you should ask, answer them separately. So each of you fill these out separately. Where do you see this business in 1 year? What do you see yourself doing for the business day to day? What will be your biggest contribution to the business? How much time will you be able to put into the business? How much income do you need next month, 6 months from now? What will you be in charge of? What kind of decisions do we both need to make, both partners need to make? What will your spouse's role be in the business? If they answer, my wife's going to keep track of the books, I'm not saying run, but just sort that out. And, but these are the kind of things that we get excited when a friend loves our idea because we love that friend and they're buying into it. We know that they have our back because we're not just friends, we're able to fight and get over it. So just because we're in business doesn't mean we won't still be able to do that. Talk about it. You owe that to your friendship. What individual things are you putting into the business? The biggest fight I've seen oftentimes comes down to things like domain names. Sit down with a piece of paper. What domain names do you own? Which ones are we putting into the partnership? What clients do you have right now? Which of those are going into this partnership? Be real specific, because assumptions can be made that, well, you knew that this software package I had worked on was something that I worked on 2 years ago and wasn't going to be a part of that. And I often see businesses, partnerships go well until either they're not making money or they're making a lot of money. And so realize that you have to get detailed with that. So a lot of you are thinking, thank you, Attorney Sunshine. I'm really looking forward to going into business with my family or friends. But I'll tell you this, it is absolutely the most enjoyable, profitable, rewarding way to do business than with others. The financial success is great, but any success is just multiple times greater when you're doing it with others and maximizing others. And, realize that your duty is to build that person up. And when that's your focus, the conflicts seem to minimize, and the business will flourish. So I encourage you, work with your family, work with your friends. It'll go well. And again, congratulations to you guys for being here, and I wish you all the success in your launch.